Hello! Alright, so the purpose of this video is to show you how to add, subtract, and multiply complex numbers. Okay, so let's start off with this particular example on top here. The plus sign here, anytime you see a plus sign that you see here and here, this implies that we are going to combine like terms. Let me go and write that out for you. Okay, so the key concept is to combine like terms. Okay, so in order to combine like terms here, what I see is this -7 would pair with this 5. So -7 plus 5 is going to give you -2. Next part, I see that this term is going to pair with this one, this like term. So 2i, positive 2i minus 11i is going to get me a -9i. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Okay, now I'm going to show you the next example. So if I give you something like this, -1 minus I plus a -10 plus 3i. Okay, so what I see here is I look for my like terms. So this is a like term and this is a like term. I'll show you another way that you can do this. What you can do is you can just rearrange the order so it looks a little bit nicer. So you have -1 minus 10. Okay, then we have this like term. We have a -i and we have a positive 3i. So we can just rearrange it. We have -i plus 3i. Then, as you can see, if we just combine like terms, just do -1 minus 10, that's going to be -11. Then we have a -1i plus 3i. So -1i plus 3i will get you positive 2i. Okay? So you could also do it that way if you want to. Again, the plus sign here indicates that we combine like terms. Okay? Now I'm going to show you another example. Okay? So let's say instead I ask you to subtract two complex numbers. Okay? So I'll write it out for here just in case some of you need to see it. Okay? So key concept is going to be distribute the minus sign, then combine like terms. Okay, so let's do exactly what this says. So distribute the minus sign. We have a minus sign here, so we need to distribute it into this expression on the right hand side. So what we have is we have 18 plus 27i. This becomes a -2, and this becomes a -3i. Now, what we're doing in order to just combine like terms, so we have 18 minus 2 here. So 18 minus 2 gets us 16, and then we have positive 27i minus 3i. So 27i minus 3i gets us a positive 24i. Okay, so that is how you would do that one. Okay, now let's say I give you something like this. So if we use something like this, we have a minus sign here. Same idea. We have to distribute that minus sign. Okay, when we distribute this minus sign, so we get -8 minus 3i. Two negatives become positive, so we have a plus 9. Two negatives also become positive here. We have a plus 5i. Okay, now what you could do is, if you guys like to do it the way I showed you earlier, if you wanted to just keep things simple, I guess, like if you wanted to keep everything straight, make sure that you're combining your like terms carefully, right? You can do something like this. So then we have a -3i plus 5i. So when we combine it together, -8 plus 9 is going to be 1. And then we have -3i plus 5i is going to be a positive 2i. Okay, so that is how you go about subtracting complex numbers. Okay, now let's say I asked you to multiply two complex numbers together. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the screen here. So what we need to do is, so in order to multiply complex numbers, we need to visit this rule. So we're going to revisit this rule. So I equals the square root of -1. Okay, so if we are given this, this rule for an imaginary number, let's see what happens when we square both sides. Okay, so let's say we are given this right here, and then what we do is we square both sides. So when we square both sides, we get I times I, so that's just I squared. Now what we have is the square root here is going to cancel out with the square. Square root cancel out with the square, and we get I squared equals a -1. So this is our new rule that we're going to have to apply in order to multiply two complex numbers. Okay, so don't forget this. I'm going to just erase it, and I just need to replace that rule on top. So I'm just going to rewrite this here. I squared equals -1. Okay, so let's say I give you another example, and I ask you to simplify this expression. 4 plus 9i times 6 minus 2i. Okay, so what I see is a lot of you guys prefer FOIL, some of you prefer box. Let's go ahead and write out the key concept. Okay, so key concept, I'm going to write this on the side here. Use FOIL or box. Use one or the other. Let's say I use box for this. I know you guys like the box method, right? So if I were to just do something like this that you see here, so we have 4 plus 9i, and then we have 6 minus 2i. Okay, so now let's go ahead and fill in the boxes. 4 times 6 is 24. 6 times 9i is going to be a positive 54i. Negative 2i times 4 is going to be negative 8i. And then we have negative 2i times 9i. So negative 2 times 9 is going to be a negative 18. I times I gets you our I squared. So we have 24 plus 54i minus 8i minus 18i squared. Okay, next we're going to use this rule. This rule here, I squared equals -1. We're going to replace I squared with -1. So we have 24 plus 54i minus 8i minus 18, and then we're going to multiply. So I squared is the same thing as multiplying by -1. Okay, so now we have 24 plus 54i minus 8i. Two negatives here. When you multiply, two negatives become positive. Okay, so we have a positive 18. And now let's go ahead and simplify this. So we have a 24 and an 18 here. If we were to combine those, 24 plus 18 will get us 42. And then we have 54i minus 8i. So 54i minus 8i, put those together, we get a positive 46i. Okay, and this is your final answer. That is how you would simplify this expression, multiplying the two complex numbers together. All right. Okay, so I'm going to continue next video really soon. I'll see you later. Okay, bye. Hello. All right, another problem. Okay, so let's say I give you something like this now. -3 plus 11i times -5 plus 8i. Okay, so let's say instead of box, like I showed you last time, let's say we use FOIL. Okay, so if you guys remember FOIL, FOIL means first, outer, inner, last. Okay, so we're taking the first terms here. First terms, -3 times -5 is going to be a positive 15. Okay, then we're going to do our outer terms. -3 times 8i is going to be a -24i. Then we're going to do our inner terms. 11i times -5 is going to be -55i. And then we multiply our last terms together. 11i times 8i is going to be a positive 88i squared. Okay? Again, what we're going to do for this problem is we're going to use this here. I squared is equal to -1. So 15 minus 24i minus 55i. And then we have a plus 88i I squared is equal to negative 1. So we're going to multiply this by negative 1. Okay, so now let's go ahead and clean this up. So we have 15 minus 24i minus 55i, and then we're going to subtract 88. Okay, just like I showed you earlier, if you guys wanted to do it this way, right? So you can group these together. So we have 15, you put the minus 88 here if you want, and then you do minus 24i minus 55i if you guys like to keep things consistent. Okay, 15 minus 88, this part will give you a negative 73. Okay, then this part here, we have negative 24 minus 55, negative 24i minus 55i, and that's going to get us negative 79i. Okay, so this would be our result that comes out of this. Okay, all right, so next part I'm going to show you a few more examples. Okay, so this is referring to the last part of that Google form. Okay, so it looks something like this. So identify the real and imaginary parts of the following complex numbers. Okay, so first example that I'm going to put here is negative 11 plus 2i. Okay, so what I'm going to help you out with, a complex number. So complex number has something of the form a plus bi, where a is the real part, and then we have b is going to be the imaginary part. Okay, so all you're doing is looking at, if I ask you, so the real part and the imaginary part, right? So the real part is the number in front here, so it's negative 11. The imaginary part is the number in front of the I, so that's going to be 2. Okay, that's all I'm asking you to do. Let's take another example. So let's say I give you something like negative 2 minus 9i. Okay, so again, if I ask you to find the real and imaginary parts, all I'm looking for is what part is real. So the real part is negative 2. The imaginary part is going to be the part in front of the I. So that's negative 9. Okay. Next example, if you guys start to see a pattern, let's say I have 42 plus 46i. Okay, so if I asked you which part is the real part and which part is the imaginary part, again, now just look at the part that's a real number, that's going to be 42. Next, look at the part that's imaginary, the part that's right in front of the I. So it's going to be 46. Okay, so that's going to be that, what you see right there. Final problem. So let's say I give you something like negative 73 minus 79i. Okay, so our goal is to figure out what the real parts are and the imaginary parts. Okay, so the real part is going to be just this number right in front of here. The real part is negative 73, and that means the imaginary part is going to be this part here, negative 79. All right, and that is how you answer this particular question. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions at all about anything. Okay, bye.